Hey guys, it's Joe Roscoe here with Bass Union. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is the In Deep on the Delta weekly fishing report for the week of June 29th, and I want to start off by thanking Joe Orozco for the intro. I know most of you guys know Joe. If you don't, check out Bass Union. Joe is the man behind Bass Union Baits. Great baits, but beyond that, Joe is one of the really good guys in the bass fishing community here in Central California. So check out Joe Orozco, Bass Union, great baits, everything from great jigs and buzz baits to finesse style baits. Joe's all over Instagram and the internet. He's easy to find. Joe Orozco at Bass Union. Paddle Sports Center in Lodi. Paddle Sports Center is a kayak shop, and for all you kayak guys out there, big sale this weekend starting today, Thursday through Saturday, 15% off the whole store, and that includes kayaks. I believe they will have everything from life vests to seats and buckles and ropes and everything you need for your kayaks. It's on sale. If you're looking to buy a new kayak, they will have on-water demos, so you can get out there and check out that kayak that you've been thinking about, get out and paddle around in it, make sure it fits you, so on and so forth. If you have any questions, give them a call at 209-224-8367. And Lodi Paddle Sports Center is located at 847 North Clough Drive in Lodi. And from inside information, I know that the Paddle Sports Center is going to really start to more and more catering to bass fishing style kayaks. So those of you in the kayak community, make sure you support these local stores so you have a place to go out and shop locally and get to go out to a shop and actually touch things and see things and talk to experts. Let's get into this week's report, and boy, depending on who you talk to and what day you talk to them, it's all over the board. We're going to get into that in just a second, but let me give you water conditions before we get into the report. And let's start off with a down note, and then we're going to really crescendo into a really great report, and then we'll level off and give you guys the full skinny. The down report is this: if you are fishing the South Delta, it has been a disaster all year long, and it's still a disaster. Stay out of the South Delta. That is probably the best information that I can give you as far as negative information. You want to come out fishing, don't fish the South Delta, and it's probably not going to clear up and start fishing well for several weeks. We still got a lot of water coming in from the south. With that, the Central Delta, we're talking 70 to 72 degree water temps. Weathermen and women are predicting that the air temperatures are going to be over 100 degrees for 3 or 4 days straight. We're going to get high 90s and 100 degree temps. Our water temps are going to move from 70 to 72, probably to 72 to 75 degrees this next week. I'm hoping it's going to kick the bite into even better than what it's been for the last couple weeks. We're also going to have some snow runoff this year, so we'll see what that does. This temperature, high temperature is going to melt the snow. We're going to get some water coming in from the Sacramento, from the San Joaquin, from all the tributaries. We'll see what that does. I think it can only improve the water quality in the Delta, which in turn will eventually improve the fishing. I think I mentioned clarity down south is still 6 inches to 2 feet. Clarity in the central delta is, I'll say, 4 to 5 feet, 72-degree water temps right now. Just absolutely excellent conditions in the central delta. The tournaments have not produced good weights. The Wednesday night tournament, I think last week was won with, I didn't check last night, but last week 18 pounds won the tournament, but 14 pounds was second, 11 pounds cash to check. The Tuesday night tournament going out south, I think they had an 11 or 12 pound winning sack. Not great tournament results, but I want to say that for the Tuesday and Wednesday night tournaments, they had to fish a terrible tide out here. Most of the time they were out here, other than right at dark. It was a low tide, very low tidal coefficient, not a lot of water movement. So I could understand why those tournaments didn't do very well. I was also out at the Yakabass tournament that was held this Saturday and Sunday at Paradise Point. It was an open launch, so people launched from all over the delta. I know Keith from Free Spooling was fishing. He launched down south, and him and his crew down there, it was a disaster. Pretty much everybody in the central delta that fished, if you're fishing around Frank's Track, they were really bothered by the wind. Fishing around Paradise Point and this downtown central, they just didn't do well. A few big fish being caught, but all in all, there's 106 boats. I talked to a lot of people on Sunday that were out, and they're talking about anywhere from getting blank to 1 or 2 fish, maybe 3 fish was the norm. And we're talking about 40 inches, so we're talking about 4 just keeper size fish, probably maybe 5 or 6 pounds if you're going by pounds. A few big fish caught, very few limits, and it was very tough this weekend. That's kind of the downside of what was going on. Let's talk about some of the good stuff going on, and I want to turn over this part of the show to Rob Cloutier, who I talked to out at Toxic Day. Oh, and by the way, if you guys missed Toxic Day, you missed a really great happening out there. It was a great turnout, great crowd out there, lots of vendors. If you missed it, think about this. Even if you're not a big bait guy, there's people from all walks of baits. A lot of the great swim bait makers from the West Coast were out there, but you had guys like CNC Baits. You had Rob Cloutier from the Bass Hole selling stuff from the shop out there. Bass Union was out there. Stealth Sticks, they had Stealth Sticks rods. A lot of vendors that aren't big bait makers, plastic guys were out there, other types of bait makers were out there. So next year, put that Toxic Bait on the calendar. So with that Toxic Bait Day on the calendar, we'll keep you informed on that. With that, let's turn it over to Rob, and I'll let Rob tell you how he's been doing this week.
What's happening, guys? Rob here from the Bass Hole Tackle Shop. The bite on the Delta is turning on. Don't believe the talk out there, the dock talk, everybody on Facebook. The bite is hot right now, and it's hot in the evening. That midday, it's real tough. Early morning, 5 to 6, on fire. 7:30 to 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, even better. Big baits, that frog, that topwater everybody's been waiting for. It's happening out there. Get on out there.
Okay. Pretty good report from Rob, and I know a lot of you who have been out may not agree with Rob, but let me just kind of back Rob up a little bit. If you watched the report last week that I gave, I was also telling you that I was doing pretty well, pretty consistently, and I'm going to stand by that. Last week was a good week, but since about the weekend through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the bite has tapered off a little bit, and again, it has to do with tides primarily. We're going to be getting a full moon coming up. We're going to have better tides and better tidal coefficients, so the fishing is going to perk up. I can pretty much guarantee you that. Everyone out here right now is dealing with a mix of fish. There are a lot of small fish being caught, but the bigger females that are starting to recover from a spawn, they're post-spawn, and they're starting to recover. They're starting to feed also. And I want to talk about the catch of the week, and that was from Glenn Rhodes. I'll show you this picture. In one hand, Glenn has a fish over 9 pounds. The other hand, he has a fish over 7 pounds. Along with that, Glenn reported to catch about 15 fish in that 2 to 2.5 pound range. And the real kicker here is he talked about losing the big fish of the day. So he had one fish on that was bigger than 9 pounds, along with the 9 and the 7. You put that limit together, if he was able to hook up on that big fish, that's approaching a 30-pound limit. So there are some success stories out there. Congratulations, Glenn. Glenn was fishing the Central Delta, and he was doing most of his damage flipping. So again, congratulations to Glenn. Let's talk about the reports that I have been getting, and they have been, and obviously the people that send in their reports, for the most part, are the guys catching fish. And for all you guys that send me reports week after week and say you're struggling, I appreciate that, because that has to be looked at in the mix. Now, we talked about how tough the tournament results are, but all in all, there's more people catching fish, and they may not be putting a big heavy sack together, but they're getting a few nice big fish in the mix. Here's the story about how to catch fish this last week. You've got to have rods on your deck that have a variety of baits, and people are talking about catching fish with almost every type of bait you can think of. Two of the baits that have been more in the dock talk this week have been the bladed baits. The chatterbait is coming on, and the spinner baits. And I suspect that a lot of those guys are fishing maybe, you know, the old river, middle river, as you get farther south, maybe not what we call south, but central south, when the water clarity is maybe not 4 or 5 feet, but maybe 3 feet. The blades are coming on down there. So when you get that, you know, kind of brownish water with not quite so good clarity, make sure you got some blades on. Make sure that you are punching. The punch bite is starting to happen, and make sure you are frog fishing. So you want to have those 4 baits on the deck. As you move into the more of the Central Delta, you want to have a supply of junk on the deck. And I don't care if you're fishing rock bank, I don't care if you're fishing troughs, I don't care if you're fishing Tule Islands, the fish are spread out all over. What you have to do is you have to have that supply of junk fishing stuff on your deck, and as you're moving through the Delta, checking your spots, look at what's in front of you and use the bait that is going to be most efficient in covering maybe rock or a trough, or obviously if it's slop, you're throwing a frog or punching, something like that. But try to be versatile. It doesn't matter what bait you're using, you're going to catch fish. I'm still catching fish on the horny toad. You're missing out if you're not utilizing the versatility of a horny toad. I'm fishing them unweighted on the surface. I'm fishing them with underspins. I'm fishing them with weights. I'm fishing them as if they were crankbaits. So I'm covering everything from top to bottom with a horny toad, and it's paying off. All I could say is I still wouldn't come out from out of the area, get up at 2:30 in the morning to be out here for a short topwater bite in the morning. I would come out in the afternoon and fish that evening, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Throw your buzz baits, frogs, and walking baits. You're going to catch some nice fish. You're going to get some good blow-ups. You got to be patient. Stick with them. Also, Rob's talking about throwing some big wake baits. I have not had a great wake bait season so far, but I'm going to this week I'm going to really start putting more time in on wake baits, because I think those bigger females are going to start, you know, coming around and picking up those bigger baits. During the course of the day, your best time to be out here is at high tide, flipping, chatterbaits, so on and so forth. Worms are still catching fish, frogs all day long. But that high incoming, or just as the 2 hours of the high outgoing tide, that's going to be the time you want to be out here. The bite at low tide has been tough. I have starting to have some success, but I have really noticed the fish at low tide are really moving off the bank. 2 or 3 weeks ago at low tide, we were still having some very high water, and I was getting fish in tight to the tules. This last week, I'm moving off and I'm fishing the mats that are outside. Some of the flooded islands have mats that are maybe 50 yards offshore. Those are producing fish, so don't forget to to fish those offshore mats starting this week, and I think you'll be surprised what you find in them out there. With that, I want to thank all you guys for watching and sticking with me through this year that has been very tough. We're all hoping that it gets better and better, and it is. Slowly but surely, the Delta is starting to show its potential, and I really believe that the summer, the midsummer, and the late summer, we're going to see some good fishing out here. So thanks for watching. Make sure you keep sending me the reports, and God darn it, go out and catch some fish. Let me know what's going on, and if you see me out here, stop by and say hi. So till next week, good luck.